Anthony Bennett. Anthony Bennett entered the league with minimal readiness for NBA speed, physicality, or role clarity. As the number one pick, Cleveland expected a franchise scorer, but Bennett averaged just 4.4 points per game across 4 seasons. He shot 39% from the field, started only 4 games, and was traded after 1 year as salary filler. By age 24, he was out of the league. Other busts at least flashed elite skills. Bennett never did. Relative to expectations, impact, longevity, and league replacement value, this remains the lowest return possible from a modern number one selection in NBA history. Kwame Brown. Kwame Brown lasted 12 seasons, which is the only reason he ranks above last. Drafted directly from high school, he averaged 6.6 points and 5.5 rebounds for his career, never reaching league average efficiency or starter impact. His best season peaked at 10.9 points, still below expectations for a top pick. Brown never made an all-star team, never anchored a playoff run, and bounced across 7 franchises. Longevity matters, but relative to draft slot, development curve, and opportunity, the gap between investment and production remains massive, cementing him as one of the most underwhelming number one picks ever drafted. Greg Oden. Greg Oden ranks here because injuries erased nearly all on-court value. Drafted ahead of Kevin Durant, he played just 105 total games across 7 seasons. When available, Oden averaged 8.0 points and 6.2 rebounds, flashing elite rim protection but never sustaining momentum. Portland invested in a franchise center and received only brief stretches of impact. Unlike skill-based busts, this was misfortune, but availability defines value. A number one pick is expected to anchor seasons, not seasons of rehabs. The theoretical ceiling does not outweigh the reality of minimal production, keeping Oden firmly in the bottom tier despite what might have been. Andrea Bargnani. Andrea Bargnani ranks low because his production never translated to winning. He averaged 14.3 points per game for his career, yet never made an All-Star, never made All-NBA, and provided almost nothing defensively. Despite standing 7 feet tall, he routinely averaged under 5 rebounds. Toronto handed him the offense after Chris Bosh left, and the team collapsed to 22 wins. Empty scoring, poor efficiency, and defensive indifference define his tenure. For a number one pick, modern skill without two-way impact proved insufficient, especially with multiple franchise-level players selected shortly after him in the same draft class overall. Markelle Fultz. Markelle Fultz ranks here because the skill that made him consensus first overall vanished immediately. In Philadelphia, he averaged 7.7 points while shooting 27% from 3. A shoulder injury altered his mechanics and confidence collapsed. Orlando stabilized him, where he peaked at 13.9 points and 5.7 assists in 2022 to 2023. That still falls short of top option value. As a number one pick, expectations include star creation and offensive reliability. Fultz became a serviceable guard, but the distance between projection and outcome remains enormous, keeping him firmly in the lower tier of first overall selections in recent league history. Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons ranks this low because his prime was brief and his decline was extreme. From 2018 to 2021, he averaged 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists, making 3 All-Star teams and earning all NBA honors. Then postseason confidence collapsed, shooting refusal became public, and injuries followed. Since 2021, Simmons has averaged under 7 points while missing most seasons. A number one pick is expected to grow, not disappear. His early peak prevents him from bottom placement, but the magnitude of regression relative to talent and opportunity keeps his overall value well below expectations for a franchise cornerstone. Andrew Bogut. Andrew Bogut ranks here because he delivered role value, not star value. He averaged 9.6 points and 8.7 rebounds while anchoring strong defenses. Injuries limited him to roughly 2/3 of possible games, preventing offensive growth. His peak impact came in Golden State, where he led the league in blocks and helped win the 2015 title. That matters, but number one picks are drafted to lead franchises, not complement them. Bogut became an elite specialist, intelligent defender, and winning piece, yet never the central engine expected from the top selection in a draft meant to define an era of competition. Kenyon Martin. Kenyon Martin ranks here because his ceiling never matched his draft slot. He averaged 12.3 points and 7.4 rebounds across 15 seasons, earning 1 All-Star appearance in 2004. Martin contributed to 2 finals runs, but he was never the offensive driver. As a number one pick, teams expect creation, dominance, or longevity at an elite level. Martin provided energy, defense, and toughness, then declined with injuries. He carved out a respectable career, yet relative to expectations, his impact fits closer to a complimentary starter than a franchise changer, keeping his ranking firmly in the lower portion of this list overall. Deandre Ayton. Deandre Ayton ranks here because consistency never became dominance. He averages 16.5 points and 10.5 rebounds on near 59% shooting, solid numbers for any center. In the 2021 finals run, he added 15.8 points and 11.8 rebounds, proving usefulness. But effort questions, defensive lapses, and limited offensive creation persist. Being selected ahead of Luka Doncic magnifies scrutiny. A number one pick is expected to dictate outcomes. Ayton supports them. Double-doubles alone do not justify franchise cornerstone status, keeping his value lower than production suggests when measured against league-altering peers drafted around him during the same era of competition. John Wall. John Wall ranks here because his peak was elite but brief. From 2013 to 2018, he averaged 20 points, 9 assists, and nearly 2 steals, earning 5 All-Star selections. Injuries changed everything, including an Achilles tear that erased seasons of availability. From 2019 to 2023, he played just 113 games and never regained efficiency. A number one pick must anchor eras. Wall flashed brilliance, then vanished. The gap between prime value and total return keeps him outside higher tiers, but his peak still surpasses those below. But first, only cool people are subscribed to this channel, so hit that subscribe button before we go any further. Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins ranks here because expectations dwarf the reality of his prime. As the number one pick, he was projected as a franchise scorer, yet peaked at 23.6 points per game once. Across his career, he averages 18.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 1 All-Star appearance. Minnesota never built a winner around him, and effort questions followed. His value rebounded in Golden State, where he became an elite defender and key piece on the 2022 championship team. That redemption matters, but a number one pick becoming a role star rather than a centerpiece caps his overall placement historically speaking today. Zaccharie Risacher. Zaccharie Risacher ranks here because projection currently outweighs proof. As the 2024 number one pick, he averaged 12.6 points, 3.6 rebounds, and 1.2 assists while making the all-rookie team. Those numbers signal promise, not dominance. Atlanta drafted him to grow into a primary scorer, but early returns suggest a complementary forward rather than instant star. Defense, shooting consistency, and physical development remain open questions. Ranking him higher would ignore uncertainty. Ranking him lower would ignore upside. For now, his placement reflects limited production, solid efficiency, and a future that remains undefined until larger responsibility and playoff pressure arrive fully. Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg ranks here strictly on projection, not NBA results. As the 2025 number one pick, he enters the league with defensive instincts, scoring versatility, and elite two-way potential. At the amateur level, he averaged over 20 points, 8 rebounds, and strong defensive metrics, fueling generational hype. However, 0 professional minutes cap his placement. History punishes premature coronations. Flagg could rise quickly, but until he faces NBA pace, spacing, and physicality, his ranking reflects uncertainty. This slot acknowledges upside without granting credit for achievements not yet earned against professional competition or sustained pressure over multiple seasons ahead, eventually tested. Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose ranks here because his peak was extraordinary but painfully brief. In 2011, he averaged 25.0 points, 7.7 assists, and became the youngest MVP ever at age 22. That season alone elevates him above many peers. However, knee injuries followed immediately. Rose played just 39% of possible games from 2012 to 2017 and never regained MVP form. His career averages settled at 17.4 points and 5.2 assists. A number one pick delivering an MVP matters, but longevity and championships define higher placement. Keeping Rose outside the elite tier despite unforgettable highs during professional basketball history discussions today overall. Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin ranks here because his prime delivered star impact without postseason breakthroughs. From 2011 to 2015, he averaged 23.2 points, 10.0 rebounds, and made 5 All-NBA teams. Griffin transformed the Clippers into relevance and finished third in MVP voting in 2014. However, injuries steadily removed his explosiveness, and he never reached the finals. His career averages of 19.0 points and 8.0 rebounds reflect consistency, not dominance. As a number one pick, highlight value and regular season success matter, but playoff limitations and shortened prime prevent higher placement among the best first overall selections historically across eras league-wide today. Zion Williamson ranks here because availability continues to define his ceiling. When healthy, he averages 24.6 points, 6.5 rebounds, and shoots over 58% from the field, elite efficiency for any forward. In 2020 to 2021, he posted 27.0 points per game, signaling superstar potential. However, he has played fewer than 50% of possible games through 6 seasons. Conditioning concerns and recurring injuries stall momentum. A number one pick must anchor seasons, not flashes. Until Zion strings together full years, his ranking reflects dominance in theory, but inconsistency in reality across modern league expectations today clearly measured publicly now. Karl-Anthony Towns. Karl-Anthony Towns ranks here because production never translated into dominance. He averages 23.1 points, 11.1 rebounds, and shoots over 39% from 3 for his career, historic numbers for a center. He won Rookie of the Year and made multiple All-NBA teams. However, defensive limitations and playoff struggles persist. Minnesota advanced past the first round only once during his tenure. As a number one pick, offensive skill alone is not enough. Towns excels statistically, but franchise-altering impact remains limited, placing him above flawed careers, yet below players who consistently dictated postseason outcomes during meaningful games league-wide historically. Paolo Banchero ranks here because his trajectory already matches franchise expectations. As a rookie, he averaged 20.0 points, 6.9 rebounds, and won Rookie of the Year. In his second season, he improved to 22.6 points and earned his first All-Star selection. Orlando built its offense around him immediately. While playoff success is still developing, his shot creation, physicality, and durability separate him from lower tiers. A number one pick should command usage and responsibility early. Banchero does, and continued growth suggests this ranking could climb quickly as postseason experience and efficiency sharpen over future competitive seasons ahead, league-wide overall. Cade Cunningham ranks here because his impact exceeds team results. Despite playing on rebuilding rosters, he averaged 22.7 points, 7.5 assists, and shot 35% from 3 in 2024 to 2025. His size, vision, and control project true lead guard value. Injuries slowed early development, but growth has been clear. A number one pick should elevate teammates and dictate pace. Cunningham already does that. Playoff resume remains empty, yet individual efficiency, usage, and two-way responsibility justify placement above established but capped stars while leaving room to climb as Detroit improves competitively around him over upcoming seasons league-wide soon enough. Victor Wembanyama ranks here because dominance arrived immediately, but longevity remains unproven. As a rookie, he averaged 21.4 points, 10.6 rebounds, and led the league with 3.6 blocks per game. He became the first rookie to finish top 3 in defensive player voting since Tim Duncan. However, one season does not define a career. Expectations are historic, but number one picks are judged by sustained impact. Wembanyama's placement reflects unprecedented tools and early production, balanced against the reality that durability, team success, and postseason performance must still be proven over multiple seasons against elite competition league-wide long-term consistently ahead. Kyrie Irving ranks here because his peak directly decided championships. In 2016, he averaged 27.1 points in the finals and hit the title clinching shot in Game 7. For his career, he averages 23.6 points, shoots 39% from 3, and owns 8 All-Star selections. Injuries and controversies limited availability, but when healthy, his scoring efficiency remains elite. A number one pick is judged by moments that matter most. Irving delivered on the biggest stage, even if leadership questions and volatility prevented him from anchoring a franchise alone long-term, while modern postseason defenses still fear his isolation brilliance. Dwight Howard ranks here because his defensive peak reshaped the league. From 2009 to 2011, he won 3 straight Defensive Player Awards while averaging 13.1 rebounds and 2.6 blocks. He led Orlando to the 2009 finals as the unquestioned centerpiece. Howard made 8 All-Star teams, 8 All-NBA teams, and finished top 5 in MVP voting twice. A number 1 pick must dominate both ends. Howard did, even if offensive limitations and later career instability reduced longevity compared to inner circle legends. At his apex, no center controlled games more consistently nightly during the late 2000s defensive era, Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis ranks this high because his two-way impact delivered a championship. In 2020, he averaged 27.7 points, 9.7 rebounds, and 1.4 blocks during the Lakers' title run. For his career, Davis averages 24.1 points, 10.6 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks with 9 All-Star selections. Defensive versatility defines his value. A number 1 pick should raise postseason ceilings. Davis consistently does, even when injuries limit regular season volume and create unfair narratives around availability. When healthy, his rim protection and scoring pressure overwhelm elite opponents across multiple playoff rounds against MVP caliber stars during high leverage postseason moments routinely. Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards ranks second because his trajectory screams future dominance. By age 22, he averaged 26.0 points, 5.1 rebounds, and 5.0 assists while leading Minnesota deep into the playoffs. His scoring efficiency jumped to 46% from the field and 37% from 3. Edwards already commands defensive attention nightly. A number 1 pick is measured by takeover ability. Edwards has delivered that under postseason pressure, showing leadership, durability, and shot making that suggest an eventual face of the league ceiling. Few peers his age combine explosiveness, confidence, and playoff shot volume against elite defensive schemes consistently today, league-wide. LeBron James. LeBron James ranks first because he represents the perfect number 1 pick. He entered the league at 19 and averaged 27.2 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 7.3 assists across 22 seasons. James owns 4 championships, 4 MVP awards, 10 finals appearances, and the all-time scoring record. Longevity, peak, and adaptability define his value. A number 1 pick is meant to alter history. James did across eras, rule changes, teammates, and expectations without decline. If you like this video, consider watching this next one, which YouTube thinks you are going to really love.